Behind me is the new Cadillac CT5V Blackwing, and it's this episode's icon. Ready for this? Go! And before we talk about why the Blackwing is already an icon, we need to discuss why that is the last gas-powered Blackwing. And we're done. So it's over, at least by the numbers. But the Tesla is missing something that the Cadillac has in droves, sitting all the way back there. Seconds. This race was over in 9.3 seconds. That's how long it takes a Tesla Model S Plaid to accelerate to 152 miles an hour, covering 1,320 feet in the process. If this is all meaningless to you, look over there. The fastest and most powerful Cadillac of all time is a third of the way back towards the starting line, and 2/3 of the way to it is the quickest and most powerful BMW of all time. And that is the difference between two of the quickest cars in the history of the world and a Tesla Model S Plaid. It ain't even close. And by the way, the slowest Tesla Model S you can buy right now is about as fast as a BMW M5. That CS is a 627 horsepower, twin turbocharged V8 all-wheel drive monster with the best automatic transmission in the business, and with no talent required of its driver. That, may I say, beautiful sedan will bang off a 0 to 60 quicker than an Enzo, a McLaren F1, or anything produced before the Bugatti Veyron. Hey, Randy. Despite the BMW's ridiculous speed, you could fit 6 school buses in between it and the Tesla when the Tesla crosses the line. And that brings us to the Cadillac. It has even more power, 668 horsepower, all of which has to get to the ground via just the rear wheels. So it takes a professional driver to get a perfect launch. And even if you do, it's 2.3 seconds behind the Tesla. 2.3 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but it is more than a football field behind the Tesla when it crosses the line. And this is your fault. You wanted a manual transmission, rear-wheel drive sports sedan. Of course, it's going to be slower than an automatic twin-turbo launch control, computer-controlled missile with a BMW badge on it, which can't even keep up with a 10-year-old electric car with a mild update. But the Cadillac has something that both of those other cars are completely missing. Personality! And most of that comes from the engine. The whimsy, the drama, the sound. While the rest of the world is arguing over CO2 emissions, this is one big, fat, dirty festival of excess, American style, and I am living for it.
There are two ways of dealing with the sensitivity surrounding fuel economy and emissions. You can add start-stop to pretend you're not a gas-guzzling pig, or you can revel in the conspicuous consumption.
I want a party! I know I said this car was slow earlier in the episode. Let's put that in perspective for a second. This makes as much horsepower as 3 Volkswagen GTIs, more torque than 2 Porsche 911s, and according to the EPA, in normal driving, it uses 6.7 times as much energy as a Tesla Model S Plaid. What more do you need to know?
Here's what. This isn't just a wasteful straight-line rocket. Its suspension is both pillow soft and rock hard, a trick that only magnetic dampers can pull off. These shocks can now adjust 1,000 times a second, so the Blackwing's computers can slow down body motions to the point that, from the driver's seat, they just don't exist.
You would genuinely think this car has no suspension at all until you aim for a bump, and then you don't feel it. I haven't even gotten to the best part. It's a manual! And it's not an afterthought. Nobody phoned this in like BMW did on the new M3. It is perfect.
But the handling isn't perfect. GM's trademark is performance cars that are physics-defyingly neutral all the time. The Blackwing doesn't like the happy middle. It prefers both extremes.
There's a little more understeer than I'd like, and then you go for the gas and whoa! Lots of oversteer. I'm a little afraid of this thing, but I think I'm supposed to be afraid of it. It's a 700 horsepower rear-wheel drive car. You're afraid of a roller coaster too, right? It's called exhilaration. Scared, mommy. This is, after all, the most powerful and fastest Cadillac of all time. But there's a problem with that. I don't know what that means.
I can tell you what that used to mean. Luxury.
This magnificent new Cadillac presents truly thrilling beauty in every detail and from every angle.
Cadillac called itself the standard of the world and meant it.
My town car now, that's big.
My Cadillac Brougham, it's bigger.
Though that gradually came to mean floaty, cushy land yacht, Cadillac never strayed from opulent luxury.
See it today at your Cadillac dealers.
It used to be crystal clear what it meant when you said, I drive a Cadillac. Look, your car is more than just transportation. It's an outfit. And as much as we all like to think we buy cars for rational reasons, we don't, or you'd be driving a Toyota Prius. No, your car is your road-going avatar. It's a costume that you put on to broadcast a message to the world about who you are and what's important to you. And so, my question is, what does it mean when you say, I drive a Cadillac? Hello. Oh, you look quite old. Can you tell me what Cadillac used to stand for?
Cadillac has always meant big, comfortable, luxurious.
With absolutely no pretense of sportiness, right?
Yeah, but every Cadillac had a big, powerful V8.
All right, but V8 aside, am I right in thinking that the Escalade is the closest approximation to what Cadillac used to mean?
You betcha.
So I guess my next question is, have you ever seen a car company do a 180?
You want to see a Cadillac do a 180? How's that?
Allow me to rephrase. Have you ever seen a car company change direction in that it starts to do the exact opposite of what it was famous for? Like Bentley saying, we think we would like to make a subcompact $9,000 economy car.
Yeah, or like you, Jason, saying, hey, Randy, I want to be thin.
Sorry about that outburst. But Cadillac's problem is one of consistency. What does this brand stand for? Is it full-size, pickup truck-based, body-on-frame behemoths? Or is it turbocharged, supercharged, sticky-tired, hard-riding sports sedans that are poised to break lap records? I just don't know.
I'm gonna go hot lap this.
You do that. And don't get me started about the whole name thing. CT4 is the old ATS, CT5 is the old CTS. Where the hell does that leave XTS and ATS?
This is the M5. And when I say those words, you know exactly what I mean.
CT5V isn't really a V anymore anyway because it comes with a 2.7-liter four-cylinder from a pickup truck.
This is the CS. And compared to the competition, it's got 20 more horsepower, 230 pounds less weight, and it only seats 4.
Although I think you can order a V6 as an optional engine, although Cadillac's own website seems confused about that.
It's also got stiffer springs, a firmer rear anti-roll bar, and oh my God, is it fast!
So either they're two different versions of the same V6, or they're completely different V6s. Either way, I don't know.
The suspension upgrades quicken the car's reflexes, and it's very precise in its response with strong braking and an incredible all-wheel drive system that's balanced a lot like a rear drive, but one that puts the power down. The M5 CS is all business, and that business is making speed.
And is a Blackwing still a Blackwing when no one knows it's a Blackwing? Neither one of those cars have a single Blackwing badge on them in the first place. Fastest man in the world can't get out of a car. Hello.
You know, I just set the lap record for a 4-door in that thing.
No,
Yeah.
you know the blue thing's got a manual, right?
Sweet.
It's so easy. Maybe it's a good thing it doesn't have a Blackwing badge on it, because then people would think it has a Blackwing engine in it, which neither of those cars do. The Blackwing was a 4.2-liter 4-cam twin-turbo V8.
As usual, Randy was right. The M5 CS did, in fact, break the lap record for a production sedan at Willow Springs. But that record only stood for 15 minutes because the CT5V Blackwing immediately beat it by 3/4 of a second. So the car company known for cushy Escalades created a sports sedan that beat the quickest and most powerful ultimate driving machine ever around a track. And it did it without a quick-shifting, soul-sucking automatic transmission or all-wheel drive, things that the Germans say are necessary when you're chasing outright performance. Tires and suspension tuning help, but the single biggest determinant of a car's lap time is power. And while all-wheel drive helps put that power down, all-wheel drive systems often make cars not want to turn.
But not the M5. Because it sends power to its rear wheels first and always, it still likes to turn under power.
The M5 only fades power to the front wheels to the extent that it's needed for grip. And so that it never comes at the expense of chassis balance, the computer can choose not to send any power at all to the front wheels.
That means BMW can make a rear-wheel drive mode, sending all 627 horsepower to the rear wheels only, Cadillac style. Best of both worlds.
Cadillac's party trick is the best stability control in the business, which has multiple modes to help you be precise and fast. But you can turn it off completely to let that big V8 scream at you sideways.
Nothing sounds like a small block. It makes music, where so many other V8s make flatulent noise. And that noise is what we love about gas-powered engines. You probably never stopped to think about this, but it's not just the noise, it's the change in noise. Think about it in terms of a saxophone. If you had a saxophone play the same note for an extended period of time, it sounds like a cross between a game show buzzer and a bagpipe. It's horrible. However, have the saxophone move around in its notes and suddenly everyone wants to take their clothes off.
Dude, that sounds so sweet.
Ew, get away from me. It's the rise, and then the pause, and the rise again. Not just the noise. If that were the case, we would all love the way CVTs sound. Yeah, no, nobody likes that. As these things get faster, you get to listen to less and less of that music. Part of it is, of course, because you're on the throttle for shorter periods of time. But the bigger issue is that the gears keep getting longer and longer. This Blackwing does 58 miles an hour in first gear. It does 83 in second. And 113 in third gear. That may be okay on a racetrack, but it's not okay on the road. And there's another thing. With all of this torque on reserve, you could keep up with fast city traffic without ever really going over 1,000 RPM. And you could keep up with a well-driven supercar on a back road without ever shifting out of third gear. All of this power has a drawback. You're flying down a road, but the engine is loafing along at 2,000 RPM, bored.
Luckily, Cadillac has a solution to all of this. It's called the CT4V Blackwing. It's smaller, less powerful, and less expensive.
This is the better sports sedan, and not just because it feels so much smaller, it's because it's slower. The CT4V Blackwing is down 200 horsepower versus its bigger brother, and it's better for it. The gearing and the power are much more in line with what you can experience in the real world. The steering is more communicative, the shifter's better. This is just more fun. But there's a reason we're not doing an Icons on this Blackwing, and it's because of what's under the hood. Cadillac was obviously listening when we all complained about the old ATS-V's passionless, laggy V6. So Cadillac fixed the V6. Genuinely, this is so much better.
But it was a waste of time. It's still the wrong engine. Like the ATS-V, the CT4V Blackwing would be the best sports sedan in the world if it had the Corvette's naturally aspirated V8.
But it doesn't. So it's not.
Remember that consistency and branding thing? This is where GM tripped up. GM is the small block company and forgot to play to its own strengths. That is a mistake BMW definitely didn't make with the M5. Ultimate driving machine? Yup. The CS is the best driving, most beautiful, best sounding Porsche Panamera ever made. It is a near faultless driver's car. As an engineering exercise, the M5 is almost incomprehensibly capable and predictable.
If I told you I was driving a car with 4 bucket seats, an all-wheel drive system that loved to be sideways, and could keep up with a Bugatti Veyron to 60 miles an hour, you would expect that I would have a big smile on my face. Then I don't. About a decade ago, we started blasting BMW for prioritizing numbers and speed over the experience. We told them that was a dangerous game. And guess what? They just lost that game to an electric car. This is nowhere near as quick as a Tesla in a straight line. And then, so what we're left with is the experience. And it's not even in the same league as that Blackwing. Yeah, I make the speed now. I do the lap time. I turn in, I have the beautiful balance, I let the power go to the ground. Yeah, now we make the sex.
And that is why the CT5V Blackwing is such a big deal.
Sure, it can't keep up with an M5 in a straight line, to say nothing of the Tesla Model S Plaid, But I have a smile on my face and my clutch leg is sore. At a time where even cars that identify as a sports car need fake engine noises coming through the speakers so you can hear them run, this thing you want to shut up. It's a little embarrassing. A little much. 668 horsepower is too much for any car. It's way too much for a rear-wheel drive car. And all of this has happened way too late. So late that Cadillac has already killed off the gas-powered Blackwing franchise. All future Blackwings will be electric.
And if you think electric cars can't be fast around a track, think again. The Blackwing's lap record also stood for only a couple of minutes before that Tesla Model S Plaid broke the record again, beating both the M5 CS and the Cadillac, with non-defeatable stability control and no track pretense whatsoever. We don't need any more proof that the numbers game is over for the internal combustion engine, but to hell with the numbers. The internal combustion engine wins once again, hands down, at whipping up a sea of emotions behind the wheel.
So the CT5V Blackwing is too much, too late. But it's memorable. And that, my friends, is how you make an icon. All right, so you're going to keep the Ferrari framed out the entire time, right?
Yep.
Perfect.
Action.
I'm not some rich YouTuber asking you to like and subscribe. Hey, up, keep the Ferrari out. I'm an automotive journalist asking you to like and subscribe, and that's because that's how YouTube works. If you don't click those buttons, YouTube doesn't know that you like what you're seeing and won't show you any more of it. If you don't like what you're seeing, well, join the club. And by that, I mean the Haggerty Drivers Club, which gets you access to this award-winning magazine, as well as discounts on some pretty amazing stuff. And if you still don't like what you've seen, well, then leave a nasty comment, because that's how the internet works. I gotta clean that up.